Book one always allowed the bookstore read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest, International Parental Development Speaker and Sleep Talk Master of Training, no other than Miss Kerre Burley.
Hello, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Welcome, welcome. Likewise, Miss Carrie. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Daniel, I am, as you mentioned, I'm a master trainer with the Sleep Talk Training Academy. I am from Australia. I'd like to say I'm a mother of five boys and a grandmother of three, and just absolutely have a passion for sharing tips and hints to parents to get their life back in control, to actually get their
Yeah,
sanity and parental bliss back.
yes, sanity indeed. Number one, sanity. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to Miss Carrie. Our audience love you. So today let's talk about transforming your family's dysfunctions to harmony central, the journey to parental ladies. So tell us, Miss Carrie, dysfunction to harmony central. How do you define a functional dysfunction in a family versus on that truly requires transformation?
Well, it's a great question, and every family is a little bit different. But I must tell you the secret, and I believe the secret to so many families that are stressed is just to relax and just to stop being so serious about being a parent. And
Mm-hmm.
we talked earlier about people have seemed to. I mean, when the babies, little children come along, they're joyous, they're wonderful. The whole dynamic changes in a household, but of course, it's not long after that that most people realize it's work and it's hard. And particularly if you've got no resources, it really, parents, I think parents try too hard. Parents really try to, I guess you could say, live up to everybody else's expectation. And therefore, they miss so much joy. They miss so much harmony and so many beautiful memories because they're focusing on the wrong things. So when you say what's the number one trick, well, I like to say I like to relax my parents and get them to actually look at parenting as just like herding sheep or herding basically little Tasmanian devils, when we're there to give them some guidance. But at the end of the day, they're going to be absolute, in their own right, they're going to be amazing little human beings. And so we need to, again, stop trying to make them into something they're not.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
So
You are,
you'll see this, I'm very relaxed.
yes, relax. You are there to guide them, people. Only guidance. So, what's the most common catalyst that pushes a family from a simply feeling stressed to realizing they need a fundamental change in their dynamics?
Oh, look, great question. I think the biggest one of all is when a parent suddenly realizes that there is no real communication, when their communication starts to break down. Now, this can happen at a very early age. And of course, many parents will tell you when children become tweens, when they become teenagers, it becomes more apparent. But if parents can be fostering that communication right from a very young age, the bonds and the connections are always going to be solid. And that even through testing times, that communication is so important. But unfortunately, we all live such busy lifestyles. We're all focusing on working and keeping the house and making sure the children are going to 3 or 4 different activities a week, that communication seems to be what's suffering the most at the moment. So I call it, it's like the cornerstone of any relationship. And I know people may think, well, oh, Kerry, she's talking about communication. Yes, it's important in all relationships, but so much more important when you're looking at your own children.
Yes, and they grown up and they are successful. It's something else. It's rewarding. Parental bliss is a powerful phrase. Is this more about eliminating conflict or about changing your relationship with conflict?
Look, I think it's people get very tied up with disciplining their children. They get very tied up with, the rules and the regulations. And I think sometimes as parents, we can be our worst. I guess you can say we can be the worst because we have these unrealistic expectations for children. And I think when we realize that when we tighten the reins a little bit, when we give our children, no matter what age, we give them a little bit more autonomy, and we can actually then communicate, what our intentions are, and let them be involved in setting some ground rules and setting some guidelines. Often people say to me, Daniel, there's no such thing as parental bliss. And it breaks my heart that these people have got to a state where they just can't see their children for who they really are. And they're only looking at the negative and not the positive side of things. And I love working with parents like that because at the end of the day, it's just changing their attitudes, changing their energy, and that changes the whole household.
Yes, definitely. On the only the mindset, people, the mindset. And on the guest personal journey, Miss uh, Carrie, can you share a moment from your own family life that became the turning point that we cannot go on like this? Realization that
Oh,
set you on this
I'm
path.
Daniel, I've got five boys, three of only that only a mother could love. I have many instances of
Mm-hmm.
when I was like, but I'll pick on the biggest one, the one that was really a changer for me. I remember laying in bed at night. I was a single mum, and I can remember one of my boys just trashing their rooms. And when they say I trashing, they were just throwing things. I could hear things going bang in the night, and I literally, Daniel, was too tired to get up. I thought to myself, I'll just deal with it in the morning. And I had remember that feeling so well. I couldn't lift my head off the pillow. I was exhausted. And it was that very next day that I thought, I can't do this. He was about 6 or 7. He wasn't a teenager. He was just a small child, but he had so much energy and so full of life. And yes, he often I would fall asleep and he'd be still up doing all sorts of mayhem. How that was a change for me? Well, it's interesting. It brings me to a book, um, and that book was, geez, we're going back a long time now, but the book was this one. Believe it or not, I've got it here to show you. I
Yes.
discovered a process or a book called Sleep Talk. And when I started, I was looking for answers. When I started reading the book, I suddenly found this amazing program that was developed about 50 years ago, and it was developed by another mother that was struggling with a child with special needs. And I found gold. I really felt like I'd found gold. I searched out the author. I found the author, and Daniel, it was took many years, but I actually ended up working in the company. I ended up becoming a consultant and then a trainer, and now I own the company. And because I'm so passionate about how Sleep Talk changed my direction in life, and how all of a sudden, with one simple little process, I could start getting on top of being a parent again and really start enjoying those moments. Now, of course, my first four boys didn't really benefit that much. They had grown into teenagers by that time. But my last child, number five,
Mm.
he just grew up so different, and his whole demeanor and his attitude and the connection we have is still today. He's an adult, but still today he's so strong, and
Mm.
it drives me to, as you can say, I have a company now that I share the sleep talk process not just with parents, but I share it with professionals all over the world. And I'm so blessed because this I know helps so many parents who are in the same position I was. So it all started from a book, believe it or not.
Yes, start with the book, definitely, and congratulations for sharing it to the world. Miss Carrie, your concept suggests a deep transformation. What was the hardest personal belief or behavior you had to change as a parent to make progress?
Look, that's a great question. To be honest, Daniel, I got brought up in a different era. One of my sons say I got brought up in the dark ages. I don't really go back that far, but I I very much, I guess, modeled my discipline or modeled the way I tried to control my children very much like my father. And sometimes that even resorted, believe it or not, to getting the strap out and really disciplining the child as I was disciplined. And it was amazing to actually watch the way that I changed and watch the way that, again, through just really good communication, with learning to soften your language, and with learning this process that I could do to my children when they were asleep, I changed. And I certainly, those old ways have gone and gone forever, I'm glad to say. And I do understand now that parents can get frustrated. And it is that frustration that really is driving the parents and pushing the parents to, to doing and saying things that are not helpful. So once they can understand that, once they can identify it, and if I can help them go, well, okay, well, let's try some more positive reinforcement here, or a better way to do this, everything changes. The energy changes, the parent changes. And I think at the end of the day, if you have a very happy parent, and you said this earlier, that one of the secrets of life is that for longevity, is just to be happy and don't let stress or dysfunction rule you. If you have got to a stage where, I sometimes say it's like a roller coaster in the dark when you're a parent, but if you have got to that stage where you're clinging on for dear life, then, Daniel, it's time to take your time, rethink, and then reach out and find resources. It's so important that you get back on the right track to
Yeah,
parental bliss.
definitely parental bliss indeed. On the mechanics of change, Miss Carey, in the early chaotic stages, where's the single most effective place for a parent to start? Is it a communication rule, a personal boundary, or a new ritual?
Look, great question. I think they say, a journey of 1,000 steps starts with the first step. So honestly, to me, it's the parent who basically just takes responsibility and just celebrates the small wins. So I had a little thing on my desk for a long time that said, small steps to a big goal is still progress. And so sometimes, if you have a good day, you celebrate it. If you have a good hour with some children, you celebrate it. And you just keep putting these together. And interestingly enough, it won't change overnight. And certainly, children are very good. I don't care what age they are. They're very good at pressing buttons. And if you are a parent who allows the children to basically be pressing your buttons and getting you all upset and all stressed, then it's time that you actually take stock and you change that, and you'll be amazed how all of a sudden things that were insurmountable, things that you couldn't cope with a week ago, just become small, and they drop and they just fall away. One of the processes that we do, the sleep talk process, I have parents come back to me, Daniel, and go, Kerre, you're a miracle worker. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not. It's the parent of these negative behaviors and negative attitudes. And so it's got nothing to do with me, everything to do with them. So your question is a great one, Daniel. And certainly if I had to say to a parent, the only thing that I want you to do in the next week is just to think happy thoughts and let things flow over you. Put a big smile on your dial every time you're ready to scream. Just that alone up it changes the dynamic. And kids, and it'll keep them guessing too. If they're really good at manipulating you and controlling you, just make sure you got that great big smile, that good poker face. And every now and then, if you have to go into the pantry to scream, you can, but don't let them see you.
Yes, some scary as a parental development speaker, sleep talk master of training. What are your short term and long term goals?
Oh, look, great question. Last month, I actually did a presentation in Melbourne to some hypnotherapists, Daniel, and I didn't realize it at the time, but it was talking about how the sleep talk process has been around for about 52 years. People have no idea. And I was calling it one of the best kept secrets amongst the hypnotherapy clan. A lot of people know about it, but aren't really getting out there and sharing it with parents. And so throughout the talk, I actually just started using the slogan, sleep talk is not going to be a secret in the next 50 years. And I come away from that presentation going, Kerry, well, why why don't you put your money where your mouth is and actually get out there and actually start sharing with parents who are struggling that just the sleep talk alone will make a huge difference in families. Never mind all the other things that we teach, like we do a lot of NLP, we do a lot of communication work, we do a lot of changing our energy and getting parents to really focus on enjoying their life and being happier. But the sleep talk, my long-term goal is I really want to be sharing this with so many parents who can then get up, make a difference, and cause ripple effects out there. So that's one. I've got a lot, but I won't share them all with you, Daniel. That's the biggest one when it
Good
comes
luck.
to the sleep talk process.
Good luck to your goals, Miss Gary, and looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Well, this is going to sound like a very shameless plug, Daniel, but I have written a book. It's the audio is coming out in a few days, and the book is called Raising Tiny Humans Successfully. Now, I really wanted to tell you a bit about the book, as in what its theme is. It come about because I just was reading through some parenting books, and I got a headache from a couple of the last books because they were so intense and they had so much good scientific information in there. I thought, well, this is good for an academic, but for a parent who's stressed or has anxiety or is lost confidence, I'm thinking these books won't help. So I thought, well, you know what? Instead of complaining, I sat down and come up with a very 12 chapters, very simple 12 chapters on a not so serious guide to parenting. And the whole point of it being an audio book, Daniel, as well as in the written text, is for those busy parents who haven't got time to read, or those parents that know they have to do something, but they're just frantically busy, or they don't quite know what to do. So, as you said, just simple little things will make the world of difference. And that's why I put the book together, Raising Tiny Humans Successfully, a not so serious guide to parenting. That would be what I would really love parents to just jump on Amazon and have a look. It's not still a few days away from audio, but it'll be up there soon. And it
Yeah.
is a bit of a shameless plug, but I know it's going to help parents. I know that it's going to make people look at and go, you know what, this feels like a grandma's talking to me, or an auntie, or somebody who's just explaining things in real language. That's what my purpose was.
Yes, and thank you for that, Miss Carrie. What is a simple daily harmony habit that has an outside's impact on family's emotional climate?
Oh, to smile and laugh more and
Oh,
to have
yeah.
fun. Do you know
Mm-hmm.
what? At the end of the day, yeah, and this can be very much a great way to get rid of stress, particularly if you're in an impasse with older children, is just learn to sit back and laugh at the silliness of everything, and you'll find that it disarms the children straight away, but it changes the energy and things get a lot clearer. If we're starting to get a bit heated in an argument or a clash of wills or something, just learn to laugh about it. And parents have forgotten how to be silly. I see parents playing with very young children, and they have that childlike, play. But as the children grow older, for some reason, parents just let that go and they start to become much more serious with the world. And I like to say, no, go back to being a child, go back to having a giggle, even if it's at your expense. Make sure you're laughing, because that's the secret to, no wrinkles, longevity, no stress.
Yes, laughter is the best medicine, people. And Miss Carey, what does discipline look like in a new model? And how do you enforce boundaries and consequences from a place of connection rather than control or anger?
No, look, great, absolute great question. And many parents struggle with this. Daniel, to me, discipline is, it starts again with communication and really being able to let your child know that you're a little disappointed in their behavior, not so much with them. You're disappointed in the behavior, and you're hoping to have a bit of a chat to see what we could come up with that makes sure it doesn't happen again. Now, I can tell you, I really started doing this a little bit late with my older children, but when they were in those teenage years, as I discovered, teenage boys, as soon as they hit puberty, I'm sure they lose a lot of brain cells.
Mhm.
And it's not a scientific fact, it probably is, but I just remembered my boys who were good kids, who were really, well balanced and challenging at times. But I used to think to myself, why didn't you think about the consequences? I'm sure if parents are listening with boys, they say, yes, that's me, Kerry. They don't think things through. They don't think of the consequences. And at the end of the day, they can do some really simple things, silly things that come back to bite them. And certainly there was a lot of those instances that I had to sit down with my teenage boys and go, okay, well, I am disappointed in what you did. It could have been at a party, they didn't come home, or they did something serious. But I went, you know what? I'm disappointed in that sort of behavior. I just want to let you know that. Now, can we talk about what we could do? What do you think is an appropriate punishment? And, can we actually put something in place that this never happens again? What we're doing there is certainly giving them, we're treating them like equals. We're giving them more of a chance to have an input in what they believe. And the most amazing thing, Daniel, when they used to come back with some of the things that they would do to make sure it never happened again, or something to discipline themselves, they were much harsher than I was. I was going, I wouldn't do that, but they came up with their own sort of punishment and their own remorse. And to this day, I'm very pleased that I was able to do that. I changed from a yelling and screaming parent who really wasn't achieving much with my voice. All that I did was get nodules from damaging my voice. And I used to notice that children would shut down. The minute a parent, the minute I started to berate them or to be sarcastic, they literally shut down. And it's certainly not good for them at all to hear this frustration from their parent. So by approaching it with a much softer approach and a little bit of subtle language, all of a sudden they're learning, they're teachable moments, which is really, really nice. And I used to have a son who was very high tempered, and he would fly off the handle. And here's another tip for any parents that have children that would stomp out of the room or throw a hissy fit. He used to basically say to me, Mum, I am so angry at you. And I would turn it back to him. I'd say, okay, Luke, I understand you are angry with me, and I do apologize for that. How about we talk? You go and settle down, and you come back and see me when you're ready for us to have a conversation. And, it used to take the wind out of his sails. He was gearing up for an argument. And the minute I used to say how much I loved him and I'm sorry I upset him and I'm happy to talk to him when he settles down, he'd stomp out of the room. And he just couldn't. He'd come back an hour later, and we used to have the best conversations because he got his emotions under control, but B, I validated his feelings. I told him, I know you're upset with me, and I do apologize. Um, they're just great little tips. And do you know, if again this come about because I did so much wrong initially, and it took a long time for me to learn how to do it properly. And even then, doesn't always work. But these are the tips I love giving parents so they don't have to go through a throat operation. They don't have to lose their voice because they're trying to get through to their children. That's not what you can't do it when they sort of shut down on you. Back to
Definitely.
communication.
Yes. So, Miss Carrie, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my Abstract Essay is already in fifth season. Abstract Poetry in second season. I'm Book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 third season. I'm Food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, as well as my love letters, movie 101, music 101, and Science 101, Sex 101 in its second season, and my baby podcast, Law 101, Mental Health 101, and Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Carrie, tell us if this journey is successful, what happens to the parents' relationship? Does spousal partnership become the foundation of the central, or is it a separate benefit?
No, look, can I tell you, I used to wear a shirt around, Daniel, that said, now what did it say? It actually said something like, if every parent knew sleep talk, the world would be a better place. And I don't know what happened to the t-shirt, but I don't wear it anymore. People don't realize that certainly when you take away the stress and the dysfunction and all the energy that's sapping families, let's just say families on a whole, that basically ripples out. It ripples out into the schools. It ripples out into the childcare. It ripples out to the workplace when parents are working, because they're much more satisfied. They're much more at ease with the world. And I'm really pleased to say that, this is a goal of mine for parents to not just think, oh, yes, I've heard of sleep talk. I want them to understand how it literally works, because I do believe too, it could be generational. I know my son will be actually doing some of these skills and using these skills when he has his own children, and that is going to make a huge difference. And can you imagine, Daniel, if we had a world where, parents, well, just the positiveness, communication, parents were positive, they were giving their children respect, and there was none of that ickiness that surrounds us at the moment. And if children then will be doing the same to their friends and other families and their people at school, what a nice community that's going to build. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. We want to build communities that aren't focusing on dysfunction, that aren't reveling in it, that are really getting on with their life.
Yes, definitely. And Miss Kerre Burley, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more and more parenting advocacy to rise. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your project, your advocacy, or anything you want to promote on Book 101?
Oh, absolutely. I would definitely encourage parents to check out the Raising Tiny Humans Successfully, the not so serious parenting way to parent. I think that's a great start for absolutely everybody, especially with Christmas coming up. People can actually be buying it for their friends and other family members as well. It'll make a difference.
Make a difference. Yes, just like Miss Kerre Burley, making a difference to the world, and for sure, it will be a legacy in the making. So, Miss Kerre, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, my absolute pleasure.
What can people see you soon?